Be quiet.
Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and make every moment more.
Shh. Alright, here we go. Back to the motherfucking Game of Thrones. Last season, the Game of Thrones on their way to real draft. We talking about Game of Thrones, the rankings, man. The BCS, our top 10. You want to see what's going on right now. It's early. It's only week 4, but it's early, and it's a lot of teams starting off on a good track right now. So when we go down this list, you're going to see a bunch of teams with no losses right now, early on right now. It starts off with the #1 team in the league. Again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These guys live on the top of the rankings charts. They're somewhere between 3, I would say 5 to 1 every year. The Patriots, man, after a crazy season last year where they, kind of looked like it was, Patriots are out of the mix, kind of, where it looked like they got to figure some things out. Their dominance has disappeared, and then they right back at it. 3-0 again. What happens when a guy gets challenged? The coach gets challenged, the owner tells him he got to figure it out, get it together, or they might be making a change, and what he do? He go out there and coach his team to 3 straight victories. The G-men are back in the building, man. Those young Giants are really back in the building right now. They're 3-0 starting off on a hot streak. Listen, man, they scored 145 points already. They only given up 70, as you can see. Same thing with the Buccaneers, 139. They gave up 81 points so far. The Jaguars and Coach Shoguns are sitting at 4 on this list at 3-0. 186 points scored, 79 given up. They're doing a good job, too, putting points on the board right now. Then there's the Broncos, our Super Bowl representatives from the AFC last year. The Denver Broncos and Coach Jimbo has his team 4-0. Already played his week 4 game. Knocked that thing out, and still has the Browns. The Browns is active as shit. These guys out here winning, man. That Braden Stanton kid looking really good at quarterback over there in Cleveland. They got rid of Baker Mayfield and went in a different direction. And in a short turnaround, this kid might have be the guy that they got as their QB1 and the franchise guy. How have this happens right here? Guy gets his way, and all of a sudden he got a team that can compete with the league, and he's 3-0. But some controversy going on that 3-0 victory right now. Roger Goodell will have some type of sit down with this coach to figure out why he was doing some of the things he was doing. At 8 right now, and the Baltimore Ravens are sitting at 3-0, 155 points scored. So let's really pay attention to this in 3 games. 155 points scored. They literally only gave up 27 points. All right, so as you can see, we got 8 teams in the league that has no losses. Now we go to our 1-loss teams right now. Number 9, the football team, 2-1, had to go on vacation. Daughter has a cheerleading recital, and he took his first loss because he had to give up the first win. I don't know if that's going to hurt him or not, but we'll see. Football team sitting there at 2-1. The Arizona Cardinals are Super Bowl defending champs. The 4-time Super Bowl winners of Game of Thrones, Kyler Murray, has been dominant all throughout his little career. He's been a problem, and they are sitting at 2-1 right now as well. Now, honorable mention, the next 5 teams outside of the top 10 are the 49ers, 2-1. The Bills are sitting at 2-1. The Dolphins are at 2-1. Bears are at 2-1, and then there's the Rams at 1-2. We got some teams that usually, don't win some ball games, just turning it around, playing a lot better. I told y'all, all you got to do, if you build it, it will come. Simple as that. Rockin' Robbie, man, what do you think over the first 4 games about this top 10 list right now?
I think the Packers shit's fraudulent. That's my opinion. Everybody else though, they all solid users, man. The Rams, he really been working hard to get where he's at. Him and the Seahawks been showing mad improvement. I played the Seahawks week 2. The guys letting that rip, man. He's airing the ball out even. He played folky, fearless a little bit. So like, I'm really impressed.
Right.
Um,
And that's
yeah.
what you want to see. You just want to see guys, stay with it, man. See what happens. Like, and not to be calling nobody out. You got a guy that coached the Seahawks, Harold. You got a guy, Bo, that coached the Rams. These guys don't miss nothing. They're in tune. They play their games, win or lose. They don't miss nothing. And you get a powerhouse team like the Chargers, who had, for whatever reason, it might have been personal, no big deal. Not saying calling him out, saying did some wimp shit or whatever like that. But this is what happens when you start off and you got your team to where it's at, and you win a division 2 years in a row, and you're playing in big playoff games, and then you take a season off in the middle of those guys building, like they didn't even get through their rookie contracts, and you take a season off, and then you come back off that season off, and you missed a whole lot of shit during that year as far as development and morale and things with your team, and it's almost like you restarting again right now. So that's why we tell guys, stay with it, play your games. You know what I mean? Because a lot of things happen within losses or wins that can benefit you in the future. Now, AFC North, the North is back, bro. The North is back to the black and blue division for sure in the AFC. With the Browns on top of this division right now, 4-0. The Baltimore Ravens are 3-0. The last time the Browns and the Ravens matched up, right now the Ravens are 2-0 in their last 2 matchups. So, playoff game and a regular 3-0. 2-0. Sorry, 2-0, 2-0. All right, so you're gonna pay attention to this battle all year long. Now, the other 2 teams have no wins yet. The Bengals are 0-3. Steelers are 0-4. I don't think these teams will stay, on the losing side too much longer. I do like the Steelers. I think they are heading in the right direction. The Bengals, it just comes down to an activity situation. He's starting to clear up the schedule a little bit, and the more he play, what type of football he can play, because he was in the mix last year. Easy in the mix, and then he went on vacation and had to miss damn near half the season and kind of tortured them. So they plan reset and catch up as well. But when you look at this division, as much as I'm screaming that this is a good division, and it could be, fucking with a lot of divisions in this league, might even be possibly the second best division, in my opinion. But you look at me, and while me saying that, you're like, wait a minute, they got 2 teams with no wins over here. How you gonna say that? But trust me, just trust the guru in this conversation. These guys are legit players. They're not, they're not bottom tier players at all. That's 0-3 and 0-4. Sometimes it's just the schedule. AFC South, you're looking at the Jaguars 3-0. They continue to dominate their division. It's just that simple. Everybody else has 1 win. They continue to dominate their division. The Colts had the early shot to try to change the narrative over here, and they kind of got it handed to them after the first half. It looks like Mike is playing really good football, but hasn't learned how to finish a game yet.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Titans, they improving. They got one over the playoff Raiders, and then they lost their next 2, but I just still see steady improvement. They addressed some of the things they needed to address. If they was late to the party with addressing the building team, but they're at that point now. Now, my boy Mark is just Mark. He owns his team, and he'll never not own his team. And his service to our country is more important at times. And out of the country right now in Germany, where his unit got to do training once a month. So he's there, but not there, so we'll cut him some slack. In the AFC South, as you can see, the ones that are playing are winning. Simple as that. 3-0 Patriots, Bills 2-1, Dolphins 2-1, Jets 0-3. And it comes down to these 3 right here. Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to these 3 teams right here. This will be a race and a fight all year long. And I think this will take us into week 18 to figure out who's going to win this division. Pretty much outside of the NFC East, this is probably the best division. I would give them the second best division in the league, and then I will fling back over there to the AFC North and say the black and blue division is the 3rd best division in the league. AFC West, you got the Broncos dominating the division, 4-0. The Chiefs are at 1-2, Chargers 0-4, Raiders 0-3. Now, Chargers give a 1-4 win in that 0-4 run. But the other 3 lost. It was just scheduling. They played the Browns, the Ravens, and the Broncos. So playing 3 playoff teams like that after you took a whole year off, a whole season off pretty much, it's kind of like hard to jump in the mix and play those type of games. And the NFC side of things, we are active over here. The Lions are at 1-2, so is the Vikings. Other than that, the Packers are 3-0. Now, they have a controversial game. Rules were supposedly broken in the game. Figure out what happens with the rules committee. Try to get that fixed so it doesn't happen again. But right now, Hero Burrs is back after he got motherfucking alley-oop. Now he's back playing the game. And hopefully we got his activity from here on out. And let's see what he could do with it. 3-0. Bears are 2-1 right now. Their only loss was to the Giants. And you know, this division, I think it's, you know, way too early to be thinking that these 1-2 and 1-2 teams down here don't have something to say about the NFC North. In the NFC South, 3-0 Bucks, Saints 1-2, Falcons 1-2, Panthers 1-2. We're used to seeing this, but I do think we'll see, you know, the Saints did make the playoffs last year. The Falcons is actually playing their games now, all of them too. And by them doing that, that gives them an opportunity to catch up to the, you know, development of his team, all types of stuff. And we shall see how it goes down the stretch right now. And I don't think McCoy is going to sit at the bottom of this division too much longer. And the NFC East, there it goes. You see, you know, the teams over here that's locked in, doing what they do. Now, the fucked up part about it is the football team jumped off to an early start. Their team was very hot. 83 points scored. That was guaranteed, you know, all Bucks game, computer game. They had to give up the forced win. But their defense was like playing how Baltimore's defense is playing right now, with only giving up 27 points. They really wasn't being scored on a lot at all. It sucks that you go, you know, you got regular life shit to take care of, and it puts him in a situation where, you know, might take a couple of losses. The problem is, can he rebound from those losses? Alright, so again, the Giants sitting at 3-0, 145 points. I think they might have scored the most points in the league so far, 145, giving up 70. The Eagles at 1-2, man. They just made a big time move, man. We've been talking about the Eagles since last night. Man, Jeffrey Lurie is over there trying to figure out what his GM and coaches is going to come up with, because there's one thing I can tell you: this team, they'll drive themselves crazy, but it'll turn into a masterpiece eventually.
Be quiet, dog. Yeah,
so they made a big statement. They made a big ass statement in the draft. Their statement was, "We're going with what we want to go with. Fuck what the world is telling us to go with." You know, I don't think even their fans thought that they would see another quarterback being picked up. I think they was comfortable with their quarterback. Well, that quarterback is no longer on the roster after one short year. Being drafted late in the first round, getting a steal, to being on the Jacksonville Jaguars team right now. Now, how about that? Trevor Lawrence is now the backup quarterback. Well, really the starting quarterback over here. We don't know yet. We'll figure it out. I do have the coach on headset right now, and I will be interviewing him shortly to talk about, you know, what they got going on over here. We got to stop letting the Philadelphia Inquirer, you know, pump out messages about this team, and we have the coaches, the horse's mouth here. So, you know, the last title of the 7 o'clock paper that came out was the Philadelphia Eagles are scrambling. They are in shambles right now, and this was the title of the page of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And I think their coach has something to say about that. Now, these hot Cowboys teams make the playoffs every year. Cowboys right now, one of the better GM teams in the league right now. You know, Jerry Jones throw that money around. He got a bunch of bread, and to me, I think personally, he's probably half the owner. I think he owns Roger Goodell, to be honest with you, because I don't know how the hell the Cowboys do the things they do. But they're sitting at 1-2 right now, and at 1-2 right now, can they do anything to change this? I don't know if the schedule gets any easier, man. You still got your divisional games to play, and you're playing a second place schedule, so things are tight over here. Let's see, you know, can Sidney Cake come, you know, show us he's, you know, he is the guy now, or will he revert back to his original ways of losing and not being able to get out of those holes? All right, Nfc West, the last division over here, the most improved division, I would say. Right, so the Cardinals sitting at 2-1. Their only losses to the Bucks week 1. 49ers are sitting at 2-1. Their only losses to the Rams, 50-50. And then the Rams are sitting at 1-2, but they had a really tough schedule in the beginning right now, you know. And then the Seahawks is 0-3. Now, the 0-3 team probably playing the best football in the league is the Seahawks. Harold got this team playing at a very, very high level. It's getting scary. This team is built. This roster is really legit. The coaching has gotten better. And I see some big things in the future with this team. Rob, again, you said you played them early on. And what do you feel as though is different about the Seahawks team, man?
The guy, he's seeing the field better. He's taking more shots downfield with confidence, might I add. Like, his receivers are they're playing for him, man. The team's playing for him. The defense is firing on all cylinders. Like, he got a front seven off this world, block shots going crazy. Everything, like, I'll tell you, once he learns how to finish, man, he's going to be a force because like, everything else is there. Like, he's working. You can see it, man.
Yes, sir. I agree, bro. I think, you know, the roster's there. You know, the understanding how to play franchise mode is getting better for him, and, you know, the play calling. And what happens when you playing a guy that has nothing to lose? They're dangerous because they don't give a fuck, man. And through taking chances, you start to realize, you know, those chances become high percentage plays. You know what I'm saying? Once you start to continue to take those chances, well, you ain't scared. You know, he shot it out with the Cardinals, and he didn't give a fuck. It wasn't no, you know, pussyfooting around. He played football, and in those chances that he took, he might have found something. So, you know, that's why it's always worth playing your games and playing the competitive guys in the league, because you start to get that, you know, start to get a feel of how things are going and what do you need to do and what's the right way to move. And play calling and situations, all that stuff. Like, all that stuff means a whole lot right now. So we're gonna slide over here. Skadimes is here, man. Rasul Rahim Skadimes is in the building right now. I'm gonna talk about some of these moves that have been made that we haven't heard from in a while right now. So alright, so as you can see, the biggest trade that happened in week 3 we'll talk about is the Eagles trade quarterback King Sanchez to the Jaguars. The Jaguars sent Trevor Lawrence, the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How do you feel about that? I mean, I know you was part of this trade right now, but to hear the fact that Trevor Lawrence, you know, who's, you know, been a playoff team, he's been outside of, he's been in the wild card round every year. He's doesn't have a really good playoff record. He does have one win in the playoffs. But he's been in the playoffs all 6 seasons, so he's 1-6 in the playoffs. And now he's on his, you know, he's in Philadelphia right now. You know, I know you pulled this trigger here, but before we get to you, we got Max on deck right now. If Max on deck right now, let's talk about this. When you saw the headlines and the news flash by in Sports Center with the dan-dan-dat, and they said Trevor Lawrence is on a move, and then you realized he was going to Philadelphia, what went through your head?
Just a little, honestly, at first it was a confusion thing, and then it was kind of I called my defensive coordinator, had a talk with him, and I don't know how he really felt about it. I feel like they got a field general almost in his upbringing prime right now, but from a completely different form of offense. So it was kind of a weird display of movement. Honestly, it's something I wasn't really gonna think I ever see. I don't really know how I overall still feel about it even now. You know, it only happened a day ago, so I got to process the trade a little bit more. But he could be a real starter, and I think that's the most like scary part.
But that's from my initial thought process. Went all right. Yeah. So what I thought was, you know, let's ignore the Jaguars' motive behind this trade, right? Let's just think about the Eagles. I think the Eagles made a statement. I would thought they had made a statement saying, you know what, we're moving on. We're gonna get all this publicity and all this controversial shit that's going on around our program right now, and this distraction. We're going to get rid of a distraction. We're going to let everybody know just by making this trade that we're riding out with our starting quarterback that we drafted this year. Is his name still the Golden Child?
No, I turned it back. He's still the Golden Child to me, though.
I will say we'll nickname. We'll call him the Golden Child. We'll call him Anthony Hood. Anthony the Golden Child Hood.
Yes, sir.
But before we really get in a clean interview with you and shit like that, is that, with the media attention Philadelphia brings, that's a big market place, and and just the energy that was, with the two quarterbacks, the back-to-back drafts, drafting quarterbacks, right, and then Deshaun Watson, out of here, he goes to New York to play backup football on the end of his career, right, and then you got the golden child, and then you got King Sanchez, all on the same roster right now, and nobody's talking about anything but that in Philadelphia. And I think, so I asked you, was that just to clear up, to get to try to bring some stability back to, your football team, the guys that are remaining on this team, just to let them know, listen, we're not undecided, we're not going to continue to keep giving y'all a confused mixed feelings or confused situation in the media and y'all ask about what we did as in the front office. So we letting y'all know right now, Anthony Hood is our guy. We're riding out with it. And to do that, you had to get rid of one of those quarterbacks, and obviously you just drafted Anthony Golden Child Hood, so King Sanchez, got the short end of the stick. But why was this trade made?
Honestly, to be honest, I just seen a chance to capitalize on a talent, and believe me, it wasn't easy to make. Like, at the end of the day, like, King is still King. Like, I was really gonna ride out with him. That 2-quarterback system I did last season really was effective for me in some way. I know you make the statement that you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't got none, and that's cool and all, I get it. But for me, that's what helped him develop into that 92 and all the accuracy and stuff like that. I didn't have to really force him to be the main starter. I still had Deshaun to rely on.
Right.
But I could still get him in certain situations and let him get little cheap touchdowns on RPOs here, a little run in there tight. It just worked. And that was the style I was really going to go with. But like the market this year, everybody's holding on to their picks. Nobody's really trying to move too much. So the market kind of dictated that if I'm going to make a move, I got to make a move now.
Okay.
And that's just what it came down to, because I didn't want to be in a situation where, like, next year when I'm ready to fully move on the Hood, I still got King right here in the shadows, just like rotting away. I didn't really want him to rot away. He's too good of a player to rot away. Yeah, King, hold on. He's too good of a player to rot away or whatever. So just to be fair to him, like, you never want to put a young quarterback in a position to feel like he's not wanted or he don't belong, and that's not the case at all. So I just felt like I signed him to a home where he would get used, and I seen him today in action, and it was, it was worth it. Like, so.
Well, let's go back to before this trade. As a coaching staff, how do you handle the emotions of a kid that comes in as a rookie, and he's just happy he got drafted, one of his lifetime dreams comes true. This kid has been in this situation his entire college career. Let's not lose the fact that the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders played on the same team as King. And they did exactly that, split time. At 1 year he only started for Florida State for 1 full season. Other than that, he's played. Injury, the other quarterback stepped up, Parker, and then he lost his job. And then he played when Parker got injured. He finished the season strong, had a great combine. So he was accustomed to that. I don't think coming in as a rookie behind a guy you probably idolized in Deshaun Watson, I don't think he had any issues with what you did with him last year. But knowing that Deshaun wasn't a part of the plan this year, and a guy like that finally gets his time to shine, just to be sitting there watching the draft, and instead of getting weapons for him or protection or whatever the case may be, you draft a guy to put him in another conflict again where he's once again having to prove himself. How did you manage that as a coach? How did you get him before the trade? How did you have him calm down, understanding, and being able to play his best football, although he knows in his mind he probably felt like he was fucked out of a starting job? He didn't do anything to lose it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, honestly, I don't think he ever felt like that, because like you said, he split time and stuff like that, so he is kind of acclimated to it, and like he got his reps in, and he got valuable reps. I don't know how you could really break it down to someone that yeah, we drafted you in the first round and replaced you the very next year. Even though I didn't feel like it was let me clear the air. My draft board kind of dictated that Hood went first round. I was looking for a running back. The running back I was like heavy set on, and I didn't go deep into the running back draft or nothing like that. I had my eyes set on one person, so when he walked, it shifted my whole draft around.
Okay.
So that's what got me to pull the trigger early on Hood, because I had it in my mind, if the running back's there, I'm taking a running back. If I get Hood in the second or third round, then perfect. If I don't get him, I'm ready to rock out with King.
Right.
That was the whole process, and the way the draft fell, it just dictated that Hood was the next person to go, and I just pulled the trigger. With that in mind, like, this offseason was really just rocky for me. Like, I'm saying, like,
with that same, what you just said, with that same conversation during that draft, was it the fact that you just didn't think Hood would be there later on or something? Because like that same mindset, if I don't get Hood, we just rock out with King. Wouldn't that make you, wait a little later, or just play the board a little bit more, get some pieces you really need, play the board a little bit more, and really, fill out how the quarterbacks was going to go. I mean, we had Anthony Iverson go number 10. The next quarterback didn't go later until the kid Weaver didn't go into the third round, right? Somewhere around there, third. Yeah. Do you just feel like the grade on Anthony Hood was just too great to pass up in the first round? Or what? Because, the same attitude of, if it happens, cool. If not, we still got King. You know what I mean?
Right. It was like...
Go ahead.
It's almost like a comfortability thing. Like, you just know when you got your quarterback, and you know when you got your style of quarterback that you like to play with. And all credit to King, he was mobile enough, but he still wasn't
but
quite
not
that.
94,
like King gave me almost a slightly better, a slightly faster Deshaun.
Okay.
And that's not bad. I mean, Deshaun won me a lot of games. Let's clear the air. And honestly, if I didn't think he was getting dropped, he would still be on this roster, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that, that's another story. Yeah, whatever, Max. Yeah, but yeah, I looked at it like, man, is this going to translate to the big ones? Like, when I had Hood and man, I'm thinking facing guys like Max and Craig, guys who they bag the field. I need to be able to get the fuck out the backfield and make some plays with my legs versus and still plays with my arms, because let's keep it real, everybody out here got corners and safeties and they're covering galore. And sometimes the pass ain't there. You need somebody that can get you them yards. You seen what the Cowboys did with that move with Sidney Cates. That slight speed boost over Beeman got the Cowboys playing to damn near winning the division.
Right.
Just one slight move. Right. And sometimes you just gotta leap out on faith. It's not always gonna be the popular move, and you can't always worry about what the critics gonna say, because you're gonna get judged regardless. Because at the end of the day, this is a winning franchise, and that's what it comes with the territory. When you're a winner in this league, and then you start off as rocky as I'm starting off, it's just gonna come to it. Is it the move? Did he pull off on King too early? I was prepared for all these questions. I got Hood prepared for all these questions. And I got King a hung. I got King a real good hung where I knew he was going to be the legit starter. No confusion. He's young enough. He's in his prime, and I know Coach Show, he's going to take good care of him. So I feel like I did right by all parties involved, and whatever questions come with it, they just got to come with it until I prove, different.
All right, so my question would be, as the head coach of this team, was the pick of, Anthony Hood, let's take it back a year. When you drafted King Sanchez, in the war room, your GM is sitting next to the coach is on the phone making a phone call, letting King know we're taking you with this pick. What was the energy of the room?
It was I kind of equated to the vibe of the Arizona Cardinals. You get a guy what's that quarterback, number 3? I can't remember. Josh Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
You take Josh Rosen in the first round, and he's an adequate quarterback. He's good, and he's good enough. But you still got that area you feeling in the back of your head, like he just might not be my quarterback. Like, and half the room's great, like they're happy with it, and the other half's like, oh, well, the verdict's out, like the jury's still out on it. Let's see, let's test it, like, versus this year where it was just like it was running back or hood, and them was my first 2 picks. Like,
But that collectively decided amongst GM, coach, and owner, running back or hood?
Yes, that was unanimous. It was either way it go. We knew we was going to get speed in his backfield one way or another. Like,
right, okay. So that makes a little bit of sense now.
This league, it thrives off speed. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, we got D linemen and linebackers running around like they corners and safeties at this point. You know, safeties is running out the gym, like, and they're jumping out the gym. You, at the end of the day, speed is just gonna equate to this franchise and this league a lot better than traditional. I mean, there's some guys that could operate like that. Max is one of them coaches. He can sit in the pocket. He let it rip. He got a quarterback that can get the ball places. But I'm pretty sure if you look at Max's line's probably solid too. So Max is like just all around good GM where he could. I'm still learning the process. I'm learning and I'm growing as I'm like experiencing this with y'all. It's like my first full year being a franchise player.
Definitely young to the game. So I'm learning as I'm going, and I'm still like I'm listening to a lot of opinions. I take a lot of people's stuff, a lot of people's advice into consideration, but at the same time, I know at some part of you got to be true to yourself. All right, so and being true to yourself and having your entire staff that makes the decisions all in one. So at the end of the day, this pick was made with the entire backing of anybody that has say so in your franchise. So now that we know that running back or a quarterback, and it was speed for the backfield. So, I can see the pick now a little bit better now. But the question was this: what made you? Was it just a speed thing when it came down to King Sanchez and Anthony Hood? I mean, you're looking at a 94-94, true 94-94 to a 91-91 that went up in speed. I mean, King worked his ass off. He went up in everything. He worked his ass off to show you that maybe and that's where we have the conversation with him. And his conversation was, I did everything I was asked and more for Philadelphia in that short time span I had with them. I've improved in everything, that I was asked to improve in, and it still wasn't good enough for the team. And being young can really affect your mind state. Thank God I had a good support system. You know what I mean? That and then he thanks y'all for at least giving him an opportunity to go somewhere where he could start. And the fact that Trevor Lawrence came. But then my question is this: is Trevor Lawrence going to be, in a way, he's still young? This kid's not looking to be a mentor for a backup and play backup quarterback in a league where he's been in the playoffs every year. How do you bring a Trevor Lawrence, who's kind of the alpha male, walking into that room with experience, into that locker room with a quarterback that you guys went all in on right away? How do you gel that process?
I mean, really don't. You keep it real, Trav. Like, Trav, listen. Like, let's keep it real. I didn't expect the Jags to be moving off Trav so early, but it could be a contract situation. It couldn't. I haven't looked at Trav's contract. It might be up after this year. It might be a 1-year rental. I just knew him. I'm like, well, it's a solid backup for the moment, and that's all it was going to be. Like, he'll come in and spelling, and he might play the role that I was going to have King play. Come in the tough games and make the throws I need you to make, while I still develop Hood, because I still wanted to take that approach I took with King, because it seemed to it worked effectively. Like, I didn't force nothing. Like I said, I took the situational approach where I got him reps, valuable reps, and snuck off a couple touchdowns, and the stats kind of reflected that in the end, where I had him and Deshaun at 7 to 8 in the top 10.
So my question again would be, does that mean Trevor Lawrence is the starting quarterback for this team?
Um, Trev is going to be the guy that, like, it's Hood's job, but like when we come up to like opponents that, like I know or like crazy on defense, you know, be at the Giants, maybe the Cowboys and stuff like that. I don't want to, because I made that mistake of putting him in week 1 against the Reds, the football team, Commanders, whatever you want to call them boys. I put him in against Washington, and that D-line had a feast. Like, he sprayed that D-line, and they went shad crazy, and the line wasn't blocking for him, and he didn't know how to respond. He had the jitters. So I don't want to overwhelm him, and that's where I feel like Trevor could play a valuable part. Like, he's not overwhelmed. He's a playoff quarterback, and he's proven in that sense. And I can still sneak Hood in on certain situations and get him a couple reps, couple handoffs. It don't always got to be throws. I can get him in a couple read options because at the end of the day, he still got his speed. So I don't feel like I got to force anything with it. And hopefully he develops just like King developed last season. I'm taking that same approach with him. So it hasn't really. I did do a little different, like, because I did actually throw him into the fire. But I'm like, no, I can't just throw him into the fire like that. Like, you gotta take the reins back a little bit. You understand the game's a little fast in this league. And even though he's fast on his feet, he could get out the pocket. And yeah, he got a couple good scrambles, but that when it comes to that passing regression and with them reads, it might not be there yet. So,
all right. So
steps, man.
when you, as a coach, when you look at the Philadelphia team, and you look at your team, it says to us, you know, you're undecided really at the quarterback position until I just had this conversation with you. So now we know Hood's the guy. You made that statement by getting rid of King. What do you want the press, the people that's around your football team that has to ask you questions every day after practice, after a game, after bad decision, whatever they got, after great decision, after a big win, after a big loss, they always in your face. What do you want them to the narrative to be going forward when it comes down to press conferences and now that you made the move with King Sanchez, Jaguar now to bring in Trevor Lawrence in?
One thing we can say about the press is, man, they don't care what you want the narrative to be. They're going to create their own narrative, and that's cool. What I want them to know is that regardless of outcome, win, lose, or draw, we're going to get out here. We're going to develop this quarterback the best way we know how. We're moving forward with this guy, and we're just going to ball, like, no weeks off, like, no days off. Like, I'm in practice right now as I speak to you with this guy. Like, we're working, man. We're gonna put our heads down. We're going to grab our lunch pails. We're going to work, man. We're going to ball out, man.
Where do you see the Philadelphia Eagles franchise 3 years from now?
Hopefully, man. Hopefully we in a position. Well, we always compete for the division. I always feel like, regardless of how much I complain about how, you know, I might got the weakest team in the division or whatever I say, I feel like I'm still an adequate coach. Like, I'm good enough to, you know, still compete with this high octane division, where I'm not necessarily coming in fourth. I'm like third 1 year, second the next year, maybe I'll fall to fourth just by whatever, a couple games outside of the division. But I'm never too far off, and I'm always a double win team.
Right.
So I at some point I gotta believe in my coaching. So we got a couple things we need to address. You know, you may mention the D tackle situation. I didn't get to address that this year. I do like this young rookie. I mean, he's a second-year player, Marsh. I gotta get some talent behind him. But 2-3 years, man, we should be in a position where we're heavily favorite contenders at this point. Like, I'm like, at some point you gotta take that step where you want to be a contender. It's not good enough to be like a 10-win team or 11-win team, and you snuck into the playoffs. At some point, you gotta start competing in the playoffs. At some point, you got to test them Giants. At some point, you got to take a step. And I feel like it might not be this year, it might not be next year, but we definitely gonna get there. I believe that.
All right. So when you look at your division, you look at the Cowboys, the football team. and the Giants, and you compare their rosters and what they have put together,
We're no
and then you
longer
look
the
at
Giants.
yours.
We're the Gremlins. We're the New York.
Not the
Oh
Gremlins.
God, the New York Gremlins. When you look at those teams over there though, and you know, obviously you build for your division first. How do you feel you've done over your 6-year ring as the coach over the Philadelphia Eagles to be able to build for your division?
As far as building for my division, honestly, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I did piss poor as far as building for my division because at no point like did I actually look and be like how Max and Snake did. They'll see me make a move and they'll make a move to counter it. I never once went to one of their rosters and was like, oh, I need to necessarily make this move to adjust to this. Like I just really stayed my path. And for that, I might have made a mistake slightly. Like it wasn't a major mistake. Like I said, I still compete. I still got wins in the division.
I'm still in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Yes, like I'm still competing heavily. But at the same time, if I'm being honest with myself, it could be a lot better. Like I still got a lot of empty holes. Like somebody made mention of me having 3 kickers. I didn't even realize I had 3 kickers. Yeah. So one of them kickers must have got drafted in the 7th round of the SEM or whatever. But I just gotta do a better job of paying attention to like my overall roster. Maybe peeking over at the Giants and the Cowboys to see where they going, what they doing right, what they doing wrong. I don't think nobody can really compete with Snake as far as trades. I don't know what the fuck he got going on. He makes moves and he always make moves. So wrestling, like I can't never make a move because somebody to trade with me. It's like it's only the crew love, like pretty much like that want to trade with me. So I'm just learning.
And the crazy part about it, let me ask you this: do you feel like as a GM, do you feel like your GM is kind of failing y'all in a way because not being able to get outside of the guys you built relationships with to get trades? Is it the GM? Is it the players? Is the GM asking for too much? Like what is it going down? Like and Skadime's report was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Jaguars were inquiring about this since week 1. And they finally came to the table. So the first 2 situations were stalemates, and then y'all finally came back to the table and you felt comfortable with the trades you got. What is it in the negotiation part that the GM is doing that's keeping other teams outside of outside of the guys you built relationships with staying away from coming to get some of these players or even draft picks?
So like, I'm gonna keep it real. Like sometimes the GM feels slighted. Like when the Jaguars first approached me, it was a simple send me Sanchez / Joker, and I'm gonna send you Trevor Lawrence. That was the bottom line pick, and his whole approach was Trevor's better than Watson. Well, I don't care if he's better than Watson.
Right.
Joker is still a legit starter, and he's young. You're giving me a 27-year-old who might be on a contract here, and that's all you're trying to give me. Like, you can't offer nothing else on defense, maybe something on offense.
All right.
When I approach the table, I approach the table with open man. I just don't want to get robbed. I don't want to rob nobody.
All right.
I don't set out to, I don't like feeling like I got cheated. Like, me and Max had that conversation. So, anytime anybody ever approached me, it was make me an offer. Like, and sometimes they don't, like, a lot of guys just don't make offers. Like, and some guys will ask about them. And they'd be like, yeah, and that's all they'll do, they'll ask. And then it just, like, withers away. I don't know if I'm just not aggressive enough, because I watch guys like Snake, he maneuvers how he maneuvers, and I'm like, man, I'm impressed with how he maneuvers. So maybe I'm just not aggressive enough. Sometimes I don't know what to ask for because, got the committee, and sometimes you don't know when you're pushing for too much. Like,
right.
And
that's all. I mean, everything you're saying is reasonable. Everything you're saying is understandable too. I do think when you look in the trade, you have to go get what you want, and you have to be willing to get. You have to know your worth, what the guys are worth, willing to try to get what you want. Sometimes you compromise, sometimes you don't. Guys. I'm a really great trader. I have but my relationships with everybody in the league is bigger than yours because I'm the commissioner. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at how I trade, you can't turn me down because of the offers that come, like the players you're getting, the things you're getting. You know, I made a big deal about guys giving up. You know, somebody see a superstar and they swapping firsts because the guy's a superstar. You know, maybe the committee's ignoring really what they asking. Remember, if you only can get one first, 1 second, that first and second, especially to get in the top 10, you have to give up a lot to do that. You know what I'm saying? To be able to get to that. And I found myself giving up a lot and seeing guys get to that, you know, getting those positions, and they just giving up a superstar that, okay, you got a superstar, so the fuck what? You dumped off a player to somebody and swapped the first that you should be a no to right away, you know? And so I approached the rules committee with my standards. Listen, if I'm giving up 2, 10, or 3 players for this shit to get in the top 5, to get the number 1 pick, 2 pick, 3 pick, 4 pick, 5, then, you know, I think that's the standard, or else I'm gonna just start doing the same shit. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, a lot of it, you know, the rules committee play a role in a lot of things. At the same time, you have to be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You have to be almost in a standpoint of, you know what your guy is worth and go get it. Because what happens is you stood on your ground with the Trevor Lawrence move, and you came back, and then you got 2 thirds to follow it. A third this year, third next for a player. So now that's 2 players, 3 players, because, you know, at the end of the day, maybe Trevor Lawrence is somebody that somebody else might want after they see that they're not having the success with the quarterback they got. He's 27 years old. He's a dog. Just because the Jaguars left the table early with him doesn't mean he can't go win big playoff game or win big games for somebody else in this league. And you just have to make those guys see that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so but far as, like, where do you head right now? How much longer do your GM have to have with this Philadelphia Eagles team? At some point, the coach, the owner, has to, you know, evaluate him. You guys evaluated your training and condition coaches, and y'all switched all those guys up out of there, fired them, and brought new guys in. And since then, I can say this: I've been seeing that team develop now. So my next question is, how long does your GM have before he's on a hot seat, or is he even on a hot seat right now?
He's on a hot seat, man. One thing, like, I find the best franchises, man, they don't got a lot of turnover. Like, just always, like, I like what he's doing. I like his approach. I like how he operates. Like, well, like I said, at the end of the day, we're learning together, man. We came in together. We're gonna learn together, and we're gonna make this thing a powerhouse, man. One way or another, man. Hell or high water, we're gonna make this thing a powerhouse. Like, I feel like in many ways we are a powerhouse for the most part.
You are. You're in the playoffs every year. You win 11 to 12 games every year. That's a powerhouse football team. You're a top 14 player, right? You're in the playoffs every year for the most part, right? Especially for the last 2 seasons, you've been a top 14 team. So then when you look at your roster, and you know you've been in the playoffs for the last 2 years, and you know you've had more than, you know, 2 playoff runs. My question is, when you look at the division, you're competing within your division, what makes you look at your team and then be like, you know, we're not the same built as, you know, other 3 teams in my division?
So that's a self-error on my part, and I gotta own that shit, because I actually, like, really paid attention to, like, one of Max's games, and maybe you want to say hit us, and I watched them sub in guys. I don't really get into the position where I sub people in. I kind of, like, roll my starters, and I said, like, I don't make too many adjustments. My starters are my starters. Those are the guys that's gonna play the full game.
Do you feel like you got the depth to be able to bring in backups and play them? Because I'm big on that, being able to have players that you can bring in and out, put them in on the field. That's how they develop. Good guys, they might not be starters, but they playing. You know what I'm saying? They get some play time, formation subs, things like that.
And that's what came with the Tron era, because now, I mean, I got guys, they're still adequate, but they're not probably league worthy at this point. So now, moving forward, through this draft process and learning that it's okay to get the guys to fill in behind people and get them in and play right away. Like, just because you don't see that star underneath their legs don't mean they can't be effective for you. Like, I'm like Mr. Spillman right now. He ain't unlocked. He's starting for me.
All right.
Like, versus, like, how I kept Daniels on the block, on the bench 2 years down there. I got him in the situations. Daniel played. Daniel actually was my starter until I made the move for Corin. And he developed, and he didn't develop quite as fast because of the Corin thing pushed him back a little bit as far as progression,
Right.
but he's still adequate enough to still play with the best of us. So he can still fit in, and he still is able to cover these high talented receivers, and he got height and all that stuff. So like I guess I'm learning like it's okay to sub people in here and there, get them in on these plays that flash and green, get them little cheap XP points, and just go from there. Like I said, I'm just learning this game, man.
I would
I'm
give you
still
advice as far as anybody you draft. I will always go to their goals. They tell you what they need to do. If you're playing games, watch it. Like, say you make a play with a receiver. Let's just say you got a rookie receiver on the field, you score a touchdown. It'll tell you what he's supposed to do for the season to better go to the max upgrade. Like, so for example, let's just say you got 7 touchdowns with a rookie receiver, and they're asking his goal to be 14 touchdowns on a year, and it'll tell you the percentage. It'll say he got 7, he's 70% away from having 14 touchdowns, or 50% away from having 14 touchdowns. It'll tell you that during the game after you make the play with him. If you pay attention to the game, you'll see it pop up on the screen. It literally tells you each player and where they at, how far. Some guys they are asked to get 1,200 yards. As maybe you're running back 1,200, and you might got 600 with it. It'll tell you the percentage, and you'll see a green bar, filled up to where he's at and to where he has to go to. You pay attention to those, you understand what goals to get for your guys. So now you go into the next game knowing that this receiver has 7 touchdowns before the year's out. I got to get him 14. I max that goal, I max that XP, I max extra development for him, if that makes sense to you.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is why guys will play backups. They understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's things you can look forward to. All right, so you go ahead and you get rid of King Sanchez, and you said you guys didn't fall in love with Sanchez. Obviously, you got rid of him, but you said you one of the biggest things of getting rid of him was getting what you wanted for him, but also making sure he goes somewhere where he can prosper at. Do you feel like now let's look at the flip side of this. You take Trevor Lawrence from the Jaguars. Jaguars take your quarterback right now. Do you feel as though maybe the Jaguars moved on from Trevor Lawrence too fast?
I did. Like, yeah, no. At the end of the day, you guys got to keep in mind that we are getting ready for it to go. And maybe he just wanted a quarterback to, go into that franchise with, along with, like, I know that particular coach, he don't, like you say, he don't want to develop. He wants to get the players that are already developed. So
Right.
I guess it fell into the ballpark of what he needed. Like, I was able to develop the quarterback in a year. He's only 2 years in, and you can get him cheap 9 to 8 points. Like, he's a 92 overall.
All right, so you get the number 1 pick overall in the 2021 draft, and you also get a 3rd round of 28 and a 3rd round of 29. That's the right direction. 2 draft picks, pretty much you gotta look at that. That's 3 starters for 1.
Right.
And I guess that's the road, the way to go right now. While you made that trade, while you looking at your roster, you made a decision. This team is gonna ride out with Hood. How do you talk to your offense, who had a lot of guys had great success, and now they're right back in a situation, especially at the receiver position. They're right back in a situation in uncertainty. Who the fuck's going to throw us the ball? When they look at the guys on the roster, they look at Trevor Lawrence. I'm not, if I'm a receiver and Trevor Lawrence comes in the building, I'm not looking at a quarterback that I can't win with, or I can't have the success to be able to get that extra, my bonuses and things like that as a receiver, because I think Trevor Lawrence is a proven quarterback, right? But when you tell in your locker room, Anthony Hood's the guy, Trevor's here, and it really seems like Trevor's here to put us in a situation when, because Anthony's young, undeveloped, unlocked, those games, we're still trying to be a playoff team. This is not a rebuild year for us at all. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying, well, the luxury I have with my receiving core is only one of these guys in this receiving room only had one solid quarterback, and that's Smith. He had Watson for all them years.
Right.
The other guys I got, they came into the situation where it was split time, Watson and King. Like, so to them, this ain't foreign. It's not nothing new to them. Like, so there really wasn't too much to explain. As far as like, I'm never in them like. I might scream tank. I don't have a tank bun on my body. Like, I can't lose to save my life, honestly. And then sometimes it gets on my nerves because I be like, man, look, I watch these guys. They in the top 10 every year, and I know I could benefit off being in the top 10. But at the end of the day, like, man, I'm just at the end of the day, at
Wired
my core, I'm a
different.
winner,
Tanking ain't in
man.
you. You ain't gonna do what the
Yeah,
Cowboys did. You
yeah,
ain't
at
gonna,
the
you know what I
core.
mean? You ain't gonna do what they did.
Uh-huh.
Tank a whole year, put themselves in a situation to better motherfucking better their team. But when you're playing franchise mode, you always got to be thinking about your future. So let me ask you this:
Right.
how do you tell your locker room this ain't a tank year? We need y'all to play at your highest level no matter what. And do you say this to him? Anthony Hood is our guy. Trevor Lawrence is here, and you know he's going to play. But Anthony's our guy. How do you get these guys to buy into that?
I think they already bought into it. Like the conversation was already had. The statement was already made when I went ahead and pulled the trigger in the first round. Like,
Right.
we know we moving forward as we just know that's just gonna be like it's gonna be a bumpy road, man. But we're prepared, man. Like I said, win, lose or draw, like, and I don't see me losing a lot, man, because I'm very active. I like to play my games, and I'm not gonna sit there and just like, like for instance, like playing like the guys like the Seahawks. The Seahawks jumped to what 27, 28 on me, 28-7. And I could have laid down and like, man, look, I'm just gonna take this L, like, and just tank mode. Nah, that wasn't in me. Like, go ahead, have a seat for the rest of the game, bro. Joker, come in, get us back in the game. All right, Hood, come back in and finish the game out. Like, it's just in my DNA to still win, bro. I gotta give my all, and like, I feel like that energy that I possess is just it's contagious at the end of the day. Like the team's just gonna have no choice but to follow. You
What do
lead
you
how
say?
you know what I'm saying?
What do you say to the reporter Donald Constantia? I'm saying his name right, Constantia, who says the football staff for the Philadelphia Eagles create their own problems. What do you say to a reporter like that, where he says, "You guys, I'll read it real fast. It says the decision makers for this football team creates their own problems. For example, Deshaun Watson has been at one point a top 5 quarterback in this league. He still had football left in him. He actually carried this team last year with the quarterback rotation. But with the 2 quarterback rotation, the Eagles made the playoffs. But could they have soared higher with riding out with Deshaun Watson? Decision making, draft, decision making, off season, decision making, game times. The one thing we will give this team credit for is when it's time to put the headphones on and get ready for a game and play, the coach does a good job coaching. But the decision making around that head coach is putting that coach in a bad situation where he will not be coaching the Philadelphia Eagles past 3 years from now.
And I will rebuttal to him. Being like, look at Sean McVay and the Rams, man. Jared Goff got him to the Super Bowl, but he wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? At some point,
Right.
you got to pull the trigger on your guy that you think is going to get you over at home. Deshaun Watson did an excellent job. He got me wins. But that's all he did. He got me in the playoffs and got me early exit. Every time I was in the playoffs. Like, I don't think I won a game. I won a game by default last year because Max was out beach housing it. Like, at some point, you got to look like...
I feel you on that. Completely.
You gotta
feel you
look
on that.
like, bro, like you're disappearing in these big games, like, and it's not just him. Like, I would get in situations where Hop will fold too. Hop will get his stick and he'll fumble the ball. Like, for some reason, all our regular season success was not translating to the postseason. So, at some point, you gotta take risks, man. Look, with no risk, there's no reward, man. Like, and everything's gonna be a popular move, man. Everybody's gonna agree with your moves, man. But at the end of the day, this is the team that, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to build. This is where I'm trying to go. This is the approach I'm trying to take.
Your head
And
coach.
it worked.
Your head coach was on the Louisville coaching staff when Lamar Jackson won the Heisman. He was, part of the change, to use Lamar the way he did. And, the Baltimore Ravens kind of adopted some of that success. Is that the reason why Anthony Hood was such a high commodity on your draft board to get, so you can be able to get into the system that you really want to run?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I stated before, like, I want to get as close to Lamar as possible. I know that's a far reach because Lamar is just 1-on-1, man. He's just different. When you can get that guy that got that change of direction, that excel, along with the speed and agility, it just does something different. Like you're able to, you know, move the pocket a little bit more effectively. You're able to get on the edge and maybe make a playmaker. You're able to stand in the pocket sometimes. Like you're able to escape through the middle where you're not getting snagged by a D tackle. Like, it just gives you a whole different element that my coach, like, I got accustomed to it. So when you get accustomed to something, you see it work, you see it work at a high level, you tend to like want to keep it going and maybe evolve it, but at the same time, you don't want to regress. You don't want to go to nothing else. Like sometimes you get your mind made up. Like guys with their pocket quarterbacks. Some guys just don't see the mobile quarterback as the future. Some guys are forever Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. Like at some point, you seen what worked for you, and at some point, you gotta stand your ground. Sometimes, like. And
Anthony Hood is at 257 snaps out of 500. How important is it to get him to 500 as fast as possible?
Oh man, that's vitally important. Like, it's vitally important. Like you see the difference abilities make, especially in this franchise, this league. Abilities is everything. So, even sometimes with all the speedy guy, it's just not enough. Like the line doesn't quite. I seen the difference in the line play versus like even with Trevor. Like Trevor played his first game with me, not knowing the playbook, not knowing the system, but the line blocked way more effectively for him because he is on ability.
Mm-hmm.
King come in, the line's protecting him a little better. Like Hood come in, the line protects him, but there's just the occasional shed that gets in. Like I said, Hiddle was able to spread the line, and like it seemed like everybody was in my face, like from the D tackle to the end. Like so, there's certain things that opening them up. It's gonna open up for my game. It's gonna make it a lot more easier.
Unlocking Anthony Hood is half the battle. Right now he has a -2 morale, which puts him at a 79. Doesn't affect his player archetypes. I will say this: he's even across the board for the most part, except for field general. That's important. Make sure you start. You know, you get upgrades, it goes there before anything else. Now with that being said, let's say he's unlocked in 3 games. You have 9 points to get and 11 to get at field general. That's 9 upgrades or 11 upgrades at field general to get before you can master all 5 of his tiers. So let me ask you again: unlocking him will only hold available to 2 to 3 tiers for you. Do you feel as though that's still a better Anthony Hood than it will be as he is right now?
Almost definitely, man. 2 tiers is better than no tiers at the end of the day. Like I said, at the end of the day, like I gotta like dig deep into this team, and like you said, like start studying the goals, because maybe there's something I'm not hitting as far as goal wise that I need to hit with this quarterback to help him develop them 9 points a little sooner, because I'm still trying to learn what gets the guys up for upgrades, because it's not training clearly, because training, like he only got 1 upgrade through training so far, so.
I go through that too, man. A lot of guys get 2 or 3 before they even get out of preseason with their rookies and shit. I go through that shit too, where it's like, dang, none of my rookies upgraded yet, but then once the season starts, they just start going crazy on upgrades and shit. I would, advice wise, if you want to hear, I would get him out the negatives. Got to win a ball game. Just get him out the negative right now. And once you get him out the negative, field general is the one thing you should be paying attention to. That's it. Any upgrade that comes, it goes there. Field general. Unlocking field general gives you access to a lot of shit. And just working. And to be honest with you, maybe, just a friendly opinion, maybe Trevor Lawrence needs to sit on the fucking bench and just ride it out with Anthony Hood and just give yourself an opportunity to play your quarterback all year. See what happens. Simple as that. Because the end goal will be way better than what you think it would be. Worst case scenario, you're not a playoff team this year, right? That's worst case scenario. You don't make the playoffs. Worst case scenario. And best case scenario, you unlock him, you develop him in a way faster than you was developing King last year, right? You develop him in a faster way because he's playing every game, right? And let's just say, maybe you guys win 5 games this year, and you're in the top 10 for real draft. You don't have to trade shit. You're there already. Changes everything. you know at least 7 picks is, you know, in that top 10. You got 7 opportunities to get players you need to get in a good situation. You know what I'm saying? But I would ride out with him. That's just my opinion, friendly opinion, while we on here just talking.
No,
Friendly
I feel
opinion.
you.
I
I
would
just
ride
don't
out
wanna,
with Anthony Hood. Fuck
I
that.
didn't
Trevor
know
Lawrence is a
how-
backup. Let him be a
Now,
backup.
My rebuttal to that was I just didn't know how, like you say, he's already a negative 2 in morale. I didn't know if that would like completely damage him to like ride out with him like that. That's the only reason I was leaving.
No, because you can fight him out of that. That negative is there because of losses. That's all that is. You can ride. You can change that yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to win games for him to get out of that negative hole. He just needs to play well. He just needs to do enough. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, we'll talk off air some of the things you can do in that process to be able to, you know, make sure, you know, he's developing. Your whole thing is I can't see it. I can't even go to what I would like to go to see it, but you can literally go to your own self and go to the goal, see what his goal is for the year, and sometimes you might not be able to see it right away. You got to look in the games, make a play or two with him, and you'll start seeing those shits pop up. And when they pop up, you keep a mental note of that, and you just try to get those goals, and you get those goals, it changes his life. I'm just saying, you want a guy in the 90s by the time you get to the end of the year. If you can do that, then that's a win. Simple as that. And then what you could do is come back and be like, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it might take that sacrifice that is a direction you ain't looking to go to right now. And to be honest with you, Snake did it in that sacrifice, and did it work? It got him a quarterback. It got him some players on that team. He's been in the playoffs every year since that, and he ain't even had the quarterback. He don't even had a quarterback he had, right, to do all that.
Right.
But it built that entire team. The other pieces that came with that changed his team. I mean, the guy got one of the better running backs in the draft, that he turned into one of the better running backs in the draft, something that he saw, and turned Joey Cummings into absolute monster, right? He built his entire defense, the front four. He was able to get the line together. He was able to get better in the secondary. All those things happened from being able to pick number 3 in every round, right? If you're going through the draft, but his success really came through trades. Right. All right. You're not getting the trade, so where your success got to come through?
Through the draft.
You cannot miss on the draft. You cannot miss. You have to win. You have to win in the draft. You have to win in the draft. And if it takes you to so-called tank to get to those situations to actually absolutely see it in the draft, then, because if you have that type of draft class, you understand what to go get following. So you could pick at 25, 31 and still win in this draft class. And my draft classes, there's no way. You know what I mean? You should be able to win. It's just you can't be over picking. It's almost like when we say, damn, these guys just don't get it. They keep picking receivers like you just picked a receiver last year. Now you done picked 4 receivers in 3 draft classes, and you got holes everywhere the fuck else that don't matter to you. And then you want to know why you get aired by guys that don't do all that. You got to build your team as a whole. You got to see it inside out. And I always say it starts with the lines, offensively and defensively first, and then the skill players can come after that, because there's always more skill players in draft classes than it is, you know, the meat choppers, big guys. So I would just work it, and, you know, remember this. You won't be done playing with these Eagles until August, real life August. Just remember that. It's always time. You got an opportunity to play all your games reset. The Lions did it. Played his games, but didn't play to win. I'm not telling you to do that, but what he do? And he was ahead of schedule. Now you look at that roster, but he had a couple seasons where he couldn't play, but he got the roster now, but he's not. He doesn't have the connection with his team yet to be able to make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? Like, is a give or take. You know, I just explained the Chargers. They had the pieces in development stage, and they were really looking on the up. And then you just set the season out. Now you ask yourself, did you win in the draft? You picked in the top 10. Did you win in that draft? Right? You sat, you chilled all year. You ain't played no game. Took all losses. What did you take those losses for? So if you ain't taking to be inside that top 10, now you ask yourself, look at your picks. With the picks you had, did you win sitting in that top 10? Because not everybody win in that top 10. You can look at a lot of teams, and they self-make themselves not winning that top 10 because of what they go after. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen the Titans go quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, You seen it. You seen these things. You seeing people doing some of the things that you would be like, man, what the fuck is wrong with him? So you don't do the same. That's all. Don't do the same. Build your team as a whole. The football team don't barely trade. I mean, in fact, the only trade I ever seen him do was with the Jets and me. So out of 6 seasons, he's made 2 trades. So where he winning at? He ain't picking at. He only picked in the top 5 once. And that's with 1 pick. He had the first round, top 5, number 2 to get Boom Jackson. Other than that, he's somewhere between 20 in the 20s, low 20s, and the mid of the draft every year, from somewhere between 12 to 23.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's, you got to win somewhere. So where you gonna win that? See, your thing is you're a hell of a coach. And you don't take this away from yourself, because you're a great coach, because you in the playoffs and you're not even looking at. You feel, real talk. If let's just be real, you feel as though you got the worst fucking team in your division, and yet you still winning majority of your games in the playoffs every year. So what that tells you, you're coaching your ass off, right? So what happens if you got that talent around you coaching your ass off?
It's dangerous. It's real dangerous.
So go get the talent.
Honestly, yeah.
Because in all actuality, you showed you can win with Deshaun Watson. You showed you can win with King, right? And you still wasn't satisfied with that. You went and got another quarterback. But what happens if you win with Deshaun Watson, and next thing you know, you grabbed about 4 or 5 more pieces you wouldn't expected to grab chasing the quarterback. All right, 2 rounds in a row, you got first round quarterbacks. What happened if that was the D tackle? What happened if that was, that was the running back in one of those draft classes? You know what I'm saying? What happened if that was those pieces? This is the big difference right now, right? Because you came back and said, damn, I ain't even check danger out. That's you. That's your scouting department. That's your scouting department, not to see a danger in that draft.
Flaw, boy, because I was so stuck on Sanders. Oh, that was flawed of me. Yeah, I could admit that was definitely flawed of me. Dangerously right under my radar. He wouldn't have made it to wherever Hoodie was. You took him second round. Andrew was going first.
Yeah, he got him second round late, cause I was going to get him in third. I had the second pick in the third round. I got 2 running backs, and I would have got him if he was there in the third round, second pick.
Yeah, Danger would have definitely went first round, and I would have just took a risk on Hood. But that shoulda, coulda, woulda at this point. I mean, I just got to make everything else count after this.
I'm gonna just say this to you: you've been a hell of a coach, because. If I look at your roster, I don't see a roster that's a weak roster. I do understand where you're coming from when it comes down to the rest of your division. But then I ask myself, what type of coaching job this guy actually doing? Now, you seem like you got to figure it out as a coach, right? And the more you miss in the draft, the more you're gonna start to second guess your coaching. And the coaching is not the issue right now. You just want to put the talent around it. Like, where guys got 2 D tackles that's inside stuffers, you barely got 1. In 6 draft classes. Where D tackles ain't never going in the top 10. Damn near most of the best D tackles ain't even going in the first round.
Yeah, man.
So I would just right now, to be honest with you, you be on the game long enough to really, you stare at your roster too. Max a pain in the ass. You stare at his roster and you think you need to change something. He just was bitching about cornerbacks, and you like, that's a good problem to have. Yeah, but I'm tired of looking at all these goddamn corners. Put yourself in that situation. Get on the game and be a fucking look at your roster nerd. You know what I'm saying? Be that guy. Look, you know what I mean? When that draft class come up, don't just, when real draft class is finished and it's up, don't just look at the draft. Look at the names and then go fucking look at their highlights and research them and see what type of player they're going to be. You can get a jump on what you getting just by watching highlights now. That's the difference between real draft and Game of Thrones. You can go look at a highlight of a motherfucker and be like, all right, I know he's going to be a dog. He was shitting his highlights. And I go a little farther, because I don't just take their best highlights. I take their worst game and see what they did in those games to really see what type of dog they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do a lot of research for it, but you do the research too. You put yourself in a situation where you understand what you got going on. Literally, the combine will tell you this first draft. The combine and pro days will tell you who to get. Simple as that, because the numbers are going to be right in your face. What happens when that receiver go run a 4.24, right? He might be ass. He might have played, one nowhere. He could have been on a fucking Division III school. But what happens when a 4.24 receiver comes in the draft? I don't give a fuck whatever everything else happens. He's a 4.24 guy. He's going to be one of the hottest guys to go get, right? It's just that thing. Now on the field, he might have not have did shit. Might not even played a full-time starter. Made the combine and went dummies in the combine. That guy's going to be a good Madden player. I mean, we did it with guys like DJ Chark before they came out in real life. Marquez Scantling. You know what I'm talking about for the Packers. He's not a dog ass receiver, but he had a fucking 40 time that made me draft him in the second round, or with my first round pick a couple Maddens ago before he was actually on the game, and I made him into a household name to the point where the next year when he was on the game, everybody and their mama was trying to trade for him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what real draft is about. You're gonna better see it now. So when you watching the combine, you see this guy just tore that 40 up, and he had DN and he just ran a 4.4, you know, all right, I know what he gonna look like on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get is a better understanding than it is with me just making guys and you really guessing for guys. You get to do your own homework now because they're real now. They're the real life players. They're gonna have real Madden attributes and stats. So you're in a perfect situation. So ask yourself this: is it worth playing Anthony Hood right now, knowing what's coming up, and just take the season how it is? It's not going, just because you might have not have won no games or won the games you wanted to win, don't make you a worse coach than you have been. You've been winning with less than everybody else in your division. So we know you can win right now. You need to win off field. You need to win off season. You need to win off the field. You've done enough winning on the field. Put yourself in a situation where you can win off the field and see how that changes everything. Flat out. I mean, that would be the way to go, in my opinion. That's the way to go. I thought this interview was really needed because not only did it give you information, it gave whoever was still watching this bitch information. And that's what we're about, man. We want everybody to understand things, to better, you know, again, I scream at how many times you hear me say, look yourself in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror. I tell myself to look myself. I forget at times myself. Look myself in the mirror. What am I not doing? You know what I mean? Instead of me blaming anything but myself, what am I not doing? Look myself in the mirror, assess myself, and then react off that assessment. Now I'm talking about, man, listen, we up late. We're not going no further than that interview. I think it was a great one. Other than that, you know how we do it. And here's the Franchise Guru. If you was watching with me, I appreciate you. No, I'm not giving out a gift, not right now. But because you was watching with me, if you watch tomorrow's show, I might got something for you. Holla at me.